So Ann Arbor, Michigan is in the Midwest, and one might think that, well, a lot of cities in the Midwest are pretty less expensive than most major cities around the United States. Well, although that's true, there's some cities here in Michigan, Ann Arbor being one of them, that are those exceptions to the rules. Cities like Ann Arbor, Birmingham, Royal Oak, those cities, I can tell you, you're not going to find a cheap house in those cities. So in this video, I'm going to break down some of the cost of living compared to California, New York, San Francisco, and really show you what it costs to live here in Ann Arbor and how much money you could be saving. So if that interests you guys, stick around because we're getting after it right now. Hey, what's going on, you guys? If we're meeting here for the first time, my name is Meldrum. I make videos about all things Metro Detroit, what it's like to live here, work here, play here, and yes, the sunshine and the snow and everything in between. I'm also a licensed real estate professional. I've helped hundreds of people just like you buy, sell, relocate, and invest here in the Metro Detroit market. We want to help you do just that. All right, so in this video, we're going to take a look and see if Ann Arbor is as expensive as places like New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles. And I remember when we were living out in California, this is my wife and I. We didn't have a family at the time. We didn't have these little rugrats running around, sucking all the money from our bank accounts. No, I'm just kidding. They're awesome. I love them. But we moved out to California and we were kind of shocked at what it cost to live there. Coming from a city like Kalamazoo, Michigan, if you know anything about Kalamazoo, it is one of the cheapest places to live in Michigan. Right, it's a college town. We met at the Western Michigan University. We ended up staying there for a couple of years after we graduated, working at some companies that we got jobs at. And then I got a job offer to go out to California. And naturally, we jumped at the opportunity. I mean, who wouldn't? We had no kids. We were young. And we said, yep, let's do it. So we moved out to California. We were just inland from Laguna Beach, Newport. We were in Orange County in the Irvine, city of Irvine. In hindsight, I wish I had a channel like this back then when I was moving to Irvine, because I never would have moved to Irvine. Never would have moved to Irvine in my entire life. I would have moved to a place like Costa Mesa or Laguna or somewhere that actually was a little bit more my scene at that age. Maybe now, if I'm moving to California and I have a family, maybe Irvine is my location. But back then it was totally not. Wish I had a channel like that. But when we moved there, it was really big sticker shock. We were looking at all of our expenses and, she was not going to work, anymore. We were kind of going into this trial of is California going to be a long-term thing for us? Is it only going to be a 3-year, a 5-year? We really didn't know at the time. I was working for a company that was doing a lot of cool things. They were growing, quite substantially. But there was also signs that I saw that maybe this isn't a longer term thing, right? So I've always had my ear to the ground for that. But anyways, when we got out there, we were looking at rents, we were looking at potentially buying a house, and I was just totally blown away, right? If you live in California, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Even some of the rentals and the condos that you can buy are totally out of most people's price range, right? It's a big affordability issue, out there. So I ended up telling him maybe you should get another job while you're out here. Well, anyways, we ended up doing just fine out there. It wasn't a long-term thing. Obviously I'm back in Michigan now, but that experience was super beneficial because coming back from a place like Orange County to Ann Arbor, Michigan, I was thinking to myself, man, I'm going to move back to Ann Arbor. I'm going to move back to Michigan. I'm going to save a ton of money. And that was far from the case. When I came back to Michigan, we were paying right around $1,700 a month for a 1-bedroom, 1-bath out in California. And that was in a really nice, townhome community. We were in a great apartment complex that had a pool, had a workout, facility, had walking trails. And if you know Irvine, everything's in these little districts, right? So you have, the shopping center, and then you have your houses, your condos, your apartments. We were in the apartment side, and we had everything we needed right there. So I thought that was, super reasonable. It was double what we were paying in Kalamazoo, right? Just for perspective, it was double what we were paying in Kalamazoo for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Okay. So just to give you perspective there. But we ended up shrinking down a little bit, 1,700. And then we come back to Ann Arbor and we're thinking, okay, we're going to go back to a $1,200 a month or maybe even $1,000 a month rental. And we could not find anything. There was nothing in the market for that price range. Starting average price in Ann Arbor for a rental is right around $1,800. Okay. You can find some gems. I'm going to just be honest, like they're not the places that I would want to live. Okay. So if you can find a cheaper apartment, great. You know, it wasn't a place that me and my wife were interested in living at the time. So for the things that we were looking for, it was about $1,800. And, you know, then we started looking to buy a home in Ann Arbor, and we're like, okay, we got $1,800. What is it going to cost us, you know, in terms of our mortgage? You know, we always kind of knew like we wanted to reel back a little bit. We want to start putting some money away, start having some savings, and start being financially responsible, you know, for things. And we just couldn't make the numbers work, you know, in Ann Arbor for a home that we wanted to buy that was going to lower or keep us right at that mortgage payment. I mean, we were looking at like maybe a 900 square foot house. And I don't know about you, but, you know, starting a family and getting into a 900 square foot house, we had some heated discussion around that. And it wasn't the best thing that we thought we should do, you know, at the time. So that's where our search started expanding a little bit more. And we started going outside of the city, looking at places like Dexter, Saline, South Lyon, Brighton, Pinckney, all of these areas where you could get a bigger bang for your buck. So that's where our home search stopped. We ended up buying in Brighton. You know, we're very happy here at the moment, but this experience has taught us so much about what you guys are going through and exactly what we need to, you know, help answer questions for when you're making your move here to Michigan, because, you know, because these are real things. When you look at the cost of living in most places, you're just looking at the housing costs, right? So what does it cost for groceries, healthcare, vehicles, gasoline, like all of these things matter because these are day-to-day things. So I'm going to jump into this tool that I've been using recently to show you what it costs to live here in Ann Arbor versus some other cities. Now, this doesn't have all the bells and whistles that I'd like to see, you know, for a cost of living. We have other separate videos on those here on this channel, so you can go check it out. But I'll drop this resource down below, you know, in the video so you guys can get access to it. But I just teed up, you know, if you're making right around $200,000 per year, you can play with these numbers, right? Like this is probably assuming dual income, you know, for a family, which is, you know, for a nuclear family, this is not too far off nowadays, you know, for the cost of living that it takes in most major cities. This is the income, right, wrong, or indifferent. This is where we're at as an economy. So moving from Los Angeles, Long Beach area, which is exactly where we were, to Ann Arbor, making $200K. This shows that the cost of living here in Ann Arbor is about 44% lower than Los Angeles and Long Beach. Okay, 44%, almost half. Crazy, right? So let's take a look at some of the other things here, right? So total income, you need $61,000 less than your current household income. You're going to be spending on average 26% lower in your transportation needs. You're going to have about 52% lower home cost. So that's going to be upkeep and things on the home, utilities, things like that. And then you're going to have a 44% reduction in your cost of living, and your utilities are going to be 16% lower as well. Fascinating, right? So let's take a look at some of the housing. So housing cost, this still blows me away to this day, right? That the average home, and Ann Arbor is probably going to get there. Los Angeles is just going through the roof, but the average home price in Los Angeles is 1.1 million. 1.1 million, right? Shaking my head to that. If you're paying that, that's awesome. So this still blows me away that the average home costs 1.1 in Los Angeles, right? We're in a world where the average home is over $1 million in certain areas in the country. Fascinating to me. All right. And I'm sure Ann Arbor will get there someday. Hopefully not too soon. Hopefully we stay a very affordable place to live in the surrounding areas of Ann Arbor. But as you can see, you know, 113% lower here in Ann Arbor than Los Angeles. 116% lower for an average rent in Ann Arbor. 9% lower in your total energy, and almost 44% lower in your phone bill. Okay, so lots of savings. I don't know how the phone has really anything to do with it, but hey, it's on here. Forbes thought it was important to put that in there. Transportation, so 26% lower. Gas costs about $5.28 in Los Angeles. On average, it's running around $3.60 a gallon here in Ann Arbor. We got the healthcare. Okay, so this is super important, right? Everybody needs healthcare here in Michigan, Ann Arbor specifically. You have the University of Michigan, you got Trinity Healthcare System, and you got the VA healthcare system. So if you are a veteran and you're looking for a place to live in the Metro Detroit, Ann Arbor area, the closest VA hospital is in Ann Arbor, just FYI. So that's why we get a lot of people living here in Livingston County, West Oakland, West Wayne County, parts of Washtenaw County. A lot of vets live around the area just for that alone. Having access to the VA healthcare system is super beneficial to get your benefits and make sure that's a priority, in your long-term care health. So doctor visits, this is super interesting, right? So 27% higher on the doctor visits, almost 10% higher on the dentist visits, and then you start seeing some savings elsewhere. Ibuprofen, that's an interesting one. Kind of shocked how they have this on here. The one I always look at the most with clients is the overall total cost, right? Being the 44%. Some of these other details, they're good to know, but it's interesting that ibuprofen's on there as a line item. So doctor visits, the other thing I want to say about the healthcare system, being in Ann Arbor, not only for the VA, having access to a world-class healthcare system like this is why a lot of the job economy and things are really progressing in the Ann Arbor area, is because of the hospital system. So, having that close by is a really good benefit. That's where both of our girls were delivered. I swear, like, we were in the delivery and labor unit. I couldn't even tell you if there was another baby being born. I was so impressed. The first time we walked in, I thought we were going to be like in this baby ward, baby's crying, mom's screaming. Like, I didn't know what to expect, right? First time dad stuff. But we get in there, everything's like peaceful. They had like music playing. And I always thought of that. Like, anytime I've gone to a different hospital, my sisters have had kids, my brothers had kids. And anytime I've been to a different hospital, I've always taken note of the big differences from University of Michigan to other healthcare systems. And if you are having kids, I suggest you go to University of Michigan. This is not a plug for them, but they have a great healthcare system there, and the labor ward was absolutely silent, as I would like it. So super interesting. So this gives you a good indication. We have a couple other ones here. This is for New York. All right, so let's look at same on the household income. Okay, so this one is actually way crazy, right? 44%. In this case, it's going to be 117% cheaper to live in Ann Arbor than it would be to live in Manhattan. Absolutely insane. Let's take a look at San Francisco. Okay, so coming from San Francisco, we're looking at 69% lower than living in. So coming from San Francisco, you're actually going to be 69% lower on your cost of living here in Ann Arbor. So super fascinating. Let's look at one more. We'll look at Chicago. Okay, so Chicago is not too bad, right? It's 14% lower. So if you're in Chicago and you're thinking about moving to Ann Arbor, it's not going to be a huge cost savings, but with an asterisk here, guys, because everything's based on your lifestyle. So if you're looking to buy a really, really nice house and you want to be in the country club and you want to drive nice cars, right? You can do all those things here, right? It's still going to cost a little bit more. But the average person, moving from these areas, this is a really good representation of how much you're going to save if moving to Ann Arbor. So we love doing this. I wanted to take a little bit of more time today to kind of go through this and share a little bit more about my experience, but hopefully you guys got some value out of this. If you do have questions, make sure you drop them down below in the comments. I answer all those personally. And if you're tuning in for the first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button, tap that little bell so you're the first to learn about the current market right here in Metro Detroit. And every time we put out a new video just like this. Well, until next time, guys, go check out these other videos on my channel and we will catch you on the next one. Peace.